$50 for a pro wrestling pay-per-view in 2019 is simply too much, and today we're going to talk about some major changes to the pay-per-view schedule, as well as how to watch Fyter Fest for free.
You have arrived at your destination.
Welcome back to Destination Pro Wrestling here on YouTube. You guys know me as Tony or Ango. You can follow me on Twitter at Tango with Ango. That's the official Twitter handle if you guys want to talk to me about pro wrestling any time of the day. And welcome back to the channel. I know there's a lot of wires and stuff going on. We're making some changes to that. Enough about the setup, though. Enough about the Twitter. Enough about all that, guys. We're talking about AEW. And trust me, I was ecstatic to hear about the news. So if you guys don't know what I'm getting at, maybe you didn't see the official announcement, Kenny Omega has officially announced that AEW Fyter Fest will be live on pay-per-view for absolutely free. Now, as you guys know, Double or Nothing was $50, and I was there at the arena and I watched it live. And honestly, watching it back, I felt like $50 was worth every penny. But of course, Fyter Fest and even Fight for the Fallen just doesn't have the same hype as Double or Nothing or even All Out. So we're going to talk about the good, we're going to talk about the bad, and we're going to talk about why. And again, why is the most important part of this conversation, because this could really impact AEW in the short term and possibly in the long term. But this is very exciting stuff. Now, Bleacher Report Live is an app from TNT, which is the home of AEW's wrestling TV show upcoming fall 2019. And TNT is really behind AEW. They've been doing a really good job marketing and promoting AEW. You guys have seen AEW become featured not only during the NBA playoffs, but also on social media. And honestly, kudos to TNT and their team for really giving a nice push to AEW, especially that now that they're the new wrestling product out. Guys, let's talk about it. This is exciting stuff. So let's start with the good. Obviously, free is free. It costs $0, okay? $0 to watch this event. It's really exciting to know that you're not going to have to pull out your wallet and start spending some hard-earned money to watch a wrestling pay-per-view. Especially in 2019, we're kind of spoiled. You know, Impact Plus, $7.99 a month. WWE Network, $9.99 a month. And New Japan World, I think when it comes to U.S. currency, it's like $9 to $10, $8. It's a really good deal. Obviously, Honor Club has a monthly subscription service. So when it comes to pro wrestling, we're spoiled. Okay, it's simple as that. We're spoiled, and I understand why. So $50 was definitely a lot of money to come out of pocket to ask wrestling fans to invest, obviously, into a company's first ever pay-per-view. And although I think they've delivered, I think $50 is a steep price for a pay-per-view, and I honestly don't want to see that happen again. However, I do have some doubts, and we'll kind of talk about that later on in the video. So, yes, the good, it's obviously free. You don't have to pay money. Another good reason as to why Fyter Fest being free is good, right? We got to talk about this. Not only is it just free, but now this gives more people access to the pay-per-view. Obviously, when the numbers came in for Double or Nothing, it set a major record for the highest pay-per-view buys outside of a WCW and WWE event, which I believe the final number came at 113,000 pay-per-view buys, which 70% of that came from the United States, and then the other 30% came from international, which is fantastic when you really think about the hype of Double or Nothing. It was the first ever pay-per-view for AEW, and it definitely delivered not only on the product end, right? Obviously, it was entertaining. It had some great matches. Jon Moxley debuted, but it also really delivered on the numbers, which was highly important for AEW to kick things off with a bang. So now that this pay-per-view is free, there really shouldn't be an excuse for people to watch this show. So I have to assume when we get the final numbers for Fyter Fest, although it may not have the same level of hype as Double or Nothing or even All Out, I think this is a situation where AEW finds themselves in a really good spot, because these numbers could be really high, especially when you consider the price difference between $50 and $0. I mean, a $50 difference. That's it's pretty insane. I've not always been good at math, but I'm telling you guys, if you could save $50 and watch free wrestling, I think majority of the wrestling fans would do it. And honestly, I feel like all wrestling fans should do it. I think this is going to be a great thing for AEW because it's going to allow more eyes on the product, which obviously they're going to need that as a new wrestling company. But most importantly, what this is really going to do is show that AEW can deliver, hopefully deliver, a very good and successful show without the same level of hype as Double or Nothing or All Out. As you guys can imagine, pro wrestling fans have only been talking about Double or Nothing or All Out. People are forgetting that AEW has Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen. Now, Fight for the Fallen wasn't confirmed to be free, so we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a second. But as you guys know, a free pay-per-view is always going to be good, and I'm probably going to repeat that 1,000 times in this video. Now, obviously, with it being said that it's free, there is one bad thing that goes along with this, and that is the fact that people get addicted to the word free. If you think about it in a different way, right? If you go into a store and they offer you a discount or something for free every time you walk in, you're going to start having the expectation that you should be getting things for free because that store is basically hooking you up every single time you go in. Now, that kind of business model can ultimately hurt the business in the long run. Now, obviously, AEW doesn't plan on doing free pay-per-views always, but again, people do feel entitled. People do feel like, hey, you know, I spent enough money on your t-shirts. I spent enough money on your merchandise. I promote your content. I do this. I'm a huge fan. I'm the reason why you exist. You know, fans do this. They do this with WWE. They do it with a lot of other promotions and not just wrestling, but pretty much anything else in life. So because some people feel entitled, this will definitely have people angry when they do end up having to pay for another pay-per-view, which I know the prices for All Out haven't come out yet, but it is being assumed and highly predicted and anticipated that that pay-per-view will also be $50. So the one bad that AEW really suffers out of this, obviously by spoiling their fans, there is going to be some angry fans when they realize that this is not going to be the entire pay-per-view schedule. Like every pay-per-view on AEW obviously won't be free. So there is going to cause a little bit of anger there. But now we have to talk about the why. And we kind of alluded to it earlier, you know, with AEW, you know, trying to get more eyes on the product. Because this event doesn't have the same amount of hype as the other events, I think that is a big reason as to why AEW is doing this. They're basically saying, look, this is an event in a smaller arena. It's not going to have 10 to 15,000 people in there. And we want people to see this product. So that is essentially the main reason as to why they're doing this. They're going to prove to everybody who is negatively talking about AEW, hey, you don't have to spend $50 to get a quality product. Hey, we know you're excited about pro wrestling, and I know you're unhappy about WWE, but come and watch this event for free to kind of give you a taste of what they're going to be doing on TV. And I think that right there is a huge win for AEW. They have a chance here to turn all the negative fans who haven't been too optimistic about the product nor the company, they're going to have a chance to turn them around. And I think that's a huge win for AEW here. Now, ultimately, having a pay-per-view for free means they are going to make less money. Now, any smart person that runs a business or wants to run a business should know that AEW is probably going to lose a lot of money in the first year of business. Now, I genuinely believe Tony Khan is going to take AEW to a very successful place in the pro wrestling world. And I think that happens this year. I don't think we have to wait a year or two. I'm not saying they're going to beat WWE or New Japan, but I do think this is going to be a successful company. But of course, when you have a new company, there's a lot of cost associated with getting it off the ground. And obviously giving out a free pay-per-view, again, $0, it's going to be very hard to make some money from that. Now, this event is a collaboration with CEO Game Fighting, Fighting Game Championships. So it is a collaboration event. Obviously, we don't know any of the financial background. But as you guys know, pay-per-views are a big part of how people make money. tickets and stuff like that. Obviously, a smaller show with less attendance at the gate, and then, of course, less people buying the pay-per-view, which in this case, if it does more numbers than Double or Nothing, which I highly predict will happen, obviously there is less income going into the pockets of AEW here. But again, this is AEW giving you a taste of what's to come in the future, and I think for that reason, this is a huge win for AEW. Now, again, there has been no clarification on Fight for the Fallen. We don't know any pricing for All Out. But one thing that we do know is AEW will be having around 4 pay-per-views a year. Okay? And the idea is All Out or All In, whatever they decide to go with going forward, will essentially be their yearly inaugural event, similar to what Slammiversary is for Impact and, Wrestle Kingdom for New Japan, and, of course, WrestleMania for WWE. So them doing less pay-per-views for $50, I'm cool with it. We do have an understanding at this point that Fyter Fest will be around 2 to 3 hours in length. So again, it's not a 4 or 5 hour pay-per-view. Honestly, I'm excited about it. And I think by the way this card is starting to look, I think you guys will enjoy it as well. With that being said, if you guys want more professional wrestling news, make sure you guys click that like button, leave a comment down below, and as always, click subscribe. And don't forget, follow me on Twitter at Tango with Ango, and I'll see you guys next time.